Hello, good evening.
Yes, now it is visible. Can you see?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I can say.
okay. So let's discuss some previous session. We already discussed in our practical session. So we are doing research. So how to present a research? First thing is how to write a proposal. Because you are absent part of this. Have you gone through these slides? I have uploaded already these slides. So let's revise this again. Yes.
Yes, yes,
So for doing research, what happen? We have to do three things first. Find out a problem is the first thing, but why we are finding out the problem? Because if already we are having some problem with us, and we want to find a solution for that. So for that we want to go for research, and thus research we have to require huge amount of money and time, and this money are given by some funding agencies like Department of Science Technology, different private sectors. So in order to get some fundings, we have to prepare a research proposal. Research proposal means
okay,
whatever the planning we have going to do in next 2 or 3 years, how step by step we are planned to do the research and to come out with a new solutions, or come out with a research solutions that should be presented before going for a deep research. That is called a research proposal. For that you have to prepare a research proposal. But not only the prepared research
okay,
proposal is the final. Whenever you are done with the research proposal, you have to give a powerful presentation. That means you have to present your research proposal, or indirectly you can call to indirectly you are going to convince the funding body to giving a presentation, by giving a presentation in front of them, in order to get sanction of money, a particular amount of money for the particular period of time. So first point is writing a research proposal, and second point is giving a presentation on your research proposal before, in front of this funding agency. If the funding agencies, the judge which are convinced, then you have to grant some amount of money, and either you have got a PhD degree also. And the next step is, if you are got funded, then your project or your research is going to be start according to your plan. So this is the three phases of our research. First is writing a good research proposal. Second is presenting the research proposal in a fascinating way. That means you are getting money, you have to convince the audience or a judge, the funding agency. And third is, if you are get funded, then go for actual research. So this is a huge amount of tasks we have to go in details. So first, let focus with the research funding, so research proposal, how you have to write a research proposal. Research and research proposal both are different.
okay,
Research means if you are directly investigated and going the process, that the research steps flow step by step, that is a review of literature, all these thing, analysis, result of the things. But research proposal is you do not go all the things. You have to find a suitable problem, and the step by step process what we have to going to do in next 3 years, the planning, actual planning, or what is the viability. So what are the main topics of the research proposal? That is statement of intent. You have to make a statement of intent, means whatever the research problem or want to going to do the research for a amount of money, let's say 30 lakhs and 40 lakhs for a period of 2 years or 3 years. That means the research statement or the problem, that this should be a viable and that should be a clear cut statement. That should not be any confusion kind of thing. Then academically prepare this research title. Then according to your focus or according to your funding agency, you have to make such standards. That means who are the audience? Peers, supervisor, examiners, all the things. That means peers means seniors. That means you have already experienced scientists are there. Supervisors means your or from whom you have to going to gain knowledge, and examiners or judges. So these are all our research proposal we have to make. So let's discuss with little this research proposal. Then about your, I already called the research proposal is a plan and your detailed study describe in step by step. Then decision about your study, what are the impact, all the things. Then what is the importance of the research proposal? Means how it could be a fruitful to the funded agency as well as the society. So what is your importance? SARS protect the students and the committee because you are getting some funding or they are giving some money. So how both are can be saved from this wastage of money and time. This can be significantly you have to write in this research proposal. So next is your essential ingredients are these things. So research proposal are having some ingredients like what are the issues, then what should be the benefit, and what are the research design. These three things comes with your to define a good research proposal. Because without having some clear cut issues how you have to solve, then how what are the main customers in the sense of who are the beneficiary of the outcomes of your research. And next most important thing is the step by step, what are the experiment, what are the things that can be going in your research. So all the things are clear cut you have to mention in your research proposal. Then I make the proposals very clear about to provide details of your context, what are the research gap, justify why we are going to do the research, and also you have to justify whether it is the creative or not. That means if someone already attempt the research, then it will be not creative because you are going to find some new solutions or new more methods of particular problems, and it is realistic or not. All the things you have to mention in your research proposal. So for that you have to go different line, that means different structures of a research proposal. That is title, that is your main research questions. Outline is nothing but only the background informations or why we are mostly where we are going to focus on your research problem. That is called outline. You have to make some introductions kinds of things. Then literature review, what are the research already done in your research area, what are the things in is the already published, and why what is the research gap that can be identified from the research review. Then step by step methodology, then data collections. We have already studies what are the different methods of data collections, that is observations, questionnaires, interview, and schedule. So which methods fits to your research proposal with in your research, because uh, in your different types of data collection methods, various kinds of steps are there, and different amount of money or different amount of time, different times will be consumed for this collection of data. So according to that you have to divide different strategy and make some strategy for the collection data collection methods. After that you have analysis, you have to take some times which softwares you have to need it, what is the timeline, when what are the apparatus or what are the resources should be required, and most important thing is what are the outcomes that should be impact for your funding agency as well as society. All the things you have to clear cut mention your research proposal. Okay, let's move forward because you already studied these things. Problem statement is the main. So what is your main focus? You should not be write a detailed sentence wise statement, problem statement, because it should be a catchy and should be main theme of your research proposal. So everyone who has views your research statement or research problem should be having some kind of enthusiastic that this research should be a valid and this research should be gives a significant outcomes. So the purpose that will blueprint your literature review, your focus committee, and all the things are going in a way. This is examples we already discussed because we do not go in details with these examples. I'm just explaining you why does malaria is or malaria parasites because the anti-malaria drugs are not effective for the malaria or disease, because previously we are taking some amount of the precautions, but now this precaution does not work for the particular disease. So what is the cause? This is our research questions. So in order to get the clear cut the main cause behind this problem, we have to go a funneling processes. That means funneling means a funnel, one side is narrow and one side is broad. So broad means the area or the knowledge which have all people should have in a general way. That is broad or funnel purpose of this research. And when we are moving towards the down, that means from broader to narrow, you are going to state what is the main reason or what is the probable solution for your problem. That is why this particular drug is not effective due for the these parasites, malaria parasites. That means this is your problem statement. So that is called funneling method. So go from the broader prospect to a narrower prospect and find out your solutions or your problem. So that things you have to clearly mention in your research proposal. The purpose can be from the research questions or hypothesis. That means because we are not actual going to do research, we are making some hypothesis or proposed solutions that can be effective or not, that are under this funneling hypothesis. So next is this is further these examples, because we are going to deal with one example, that is why malaria is not effective. That means a broader effective is, if you do not know what is malaria, what is epidemiology, how it spreads. That is everyone knows the malaria is spreads by the biting of the mosquito and the plasmodium vivax or the that epidemic that malaria causing agent, that how its life cycle controls in human body and the mosquito parasite body. And then the foreign effect going to how why this particular drug become resistance. And next our possible outcome is hypothesis, that why this is resistance, because whether the doses which are given for the parasite is very low or is having get muted to resist this particular dose, or some the whatever may be the possible solutions, we are going to find out that solutions and the problem and the solution. That is called the funneling hypothesis. So what does this means? Every steps in your research, even if you are full confident that our research is in a good way, proper way, but there is some patch holes everywhere. So you have to make this minimum amount of this patch hole. That means you have to gather more knowledge in everywhere and go proceed for your next solutions. So for doing this, from broadening knowledge to a certain funneling out of this your research questions, outcomes of the solutions, main thing is literature review. And the literature review, you have to get idea what the benefits of the literature review. You get what are the background information in it, what is your research gap, and how you can do your research in a step by step process, and what are the main shortfalls or pitfalls that can be lived or that will be detached from the previous literature from what is the new current one. So from broad range of literature review from last 5 years, 10 years, 10, 20 years, you have go up to date for every steps, and you have to narrow down your research, and that is the very much important for, and you can take reference from anywhere, that is any journals, books, or internet, everywhere. So there are some softwares where you can give. This is one examples. I already discussed the software that is EndNote or Mendlib. Then you go and see what are the things be present in that literature review. What are the things? First, the authors means who are wrote the paper or the articles, then which year it has been published. Let's say you are doing research in 2024, and if the article is published in 2000 sorry 1964, then see how much research difference is there, research literature get difference. So that paper is obviously a good one, but it cannot deals or cannot update you about the research. So you have to search recently published research paper which can be related to your work. That should be in 2020, 21, 23, 24. Then you can get updated from the older version to newer version. What are the you have to find some research gap within that. Then next is the title of the research paper. Then next is which journal it is published. Then volume. Then issues and number of pages. Then publication date, obviously. So these are having some DOI number or the URL where it can. These are even informations that can be hidden in the reference sections. So next thing is plagiarism. So because we that is shortcut method is copy and paste. So in the research, it should not be copy and paste. You must be avoid this type of plagiarisms, because you cannot be a just copy from one research paper some lines and some ideas and paste and make a new research, new paper, because you have to write and you have to find out some new things that should not be published before, or you have to rearrange all the things. So the plagiarism should be minimum in your research, because you know where someone is going to give some amount of money or funded for your research if it already published, or you just copy and paste the result for them, then why they should be invest some money. So in order to avoid this, you have to keep the plagiarism minimum, and from the sources you have given some ideas, taken some ideas, just acknowledge the sources with proper reference and citation. That is a very good method, because without referencing, without giving some knowledges from previous research, we cannot proceed further. Obviously this is already discussed. Then in your research proposal, you have to find and this means what is your aims, clear cut. You have to make statements. Then you have to also specify your objectives, the points wise objectives. You already, if you have already known, if you are going for some your dissertation projects, so if you have made some presentation, then next first paragraph is introductions, then second paragraph you have to write what are the objectives. You have maximum of minimum 2 and 3 4 objectives for which you have to work properly. Then after this, you have to write methodology sections. What methods you want to follow, that should be properly clearly mentioned, because there are different methods are there, which instruments you are going to be used, what are the ethics, and why what are the methods of data analysis, data collections, which method you are follow. And every time you have to specify how this method is useful for your result or study. So justify your method and show understanding or principle, all the things, prove visibility or study. So these are the different things going. This is one examples for the malaria project. Go forward with this. So we already discuss all the things. So next is timeline. So for preparing your research proposal, you have to strictly follow the timeline, because someone is going to funded some thousands of rupees, and you are having no any budget or time budget. So what happened? It is not be going to a successful research. So mention every timelines. What is your timeline for collection of sample? What is the time to taken to analysis the sample? So everywhere you have to mention the date time or timeline. And most important thing is you have to appreciation your budget or cost. Why, how much budget will be required to carry out your research, that is the most important thing. So to prevent the overspreading, because if you are mentions I required 50,000 rupees for my data analysis for carrying out the samples in AAS or in spectrometer, anywhere I am going to send some samples to analysis this result for getting this result analysis. So if you are mention 50,000, so you have to stick the 50,000, because one money is sanctioned, no one going to further extend your money, because if you are not enough with this money, then you have to carry out you using your own money or your own resource. That is very painful if you are not mentioned in details. So everywhere you have to mention details of your budget, how you are going to be utilize those things, and what amount of money you have to require for doing out the research. And last is the outcomes, why you are going to do research, and who the funding agencies or the money who is utilizing for getting, let's say 30 lakhs is utilized for carrying out the research. Let's say the same example, what is the solution, probable solution for the drug which is not affected to the malaria parasite, to kill the malaria parasites? If you are find some solutions, then how this solution become useful and fruitful for these pharmaceuticals companies who is given funded, and also this outcome is very much useful for the public who are get remedy from the malaria parasites. So all these things are you have to clearly mention according to your research. That is all about your writing a research proposal. Then after writing or completing your research proposal, always you have to revise, because everywhere you will do some mistakes, maybe mistakes. So just revise and again you have to read. So some things we have to forgot to include table of contents, because these are the things you should not forget. You have to write a table of content, that is index, that is first page you have written some this page number, all the things. Not connecting proposed research to literature review. This you also avoid, you should avoid, because you have to maintain a flow for literature review, the literature gap towards your main research. Not enough details methods, because you have mentioned some methods we are going to do experiment to find out this particular result, but you do not mention the methods, then it is not a good idea. So you have to always mention the result, sorry, mention the methods where we are going to do it. Then sweeping generalities, avoid social supervision. That means whatever you have to need, or whatever is a little things you have to, all things are you have to write in details in your research proposal, because research proposal is not writing a research paper. Research paper is different thing, it having some constraint, but research proposal is not like that. There are actually three things are there. Research proposal is the written documents, every details with your hypothesis, problem and solutions before going to do research. After doing research, you have to write your thesis or research reports. You make a research reports. That is also a brief details, every little details which can be add or write in these things, but it is not like a research paper, because research paper the number of words, number of pages all are limited, so you have to write in a specific coincide manner, that is different thing. Then evaluation and proposals, this should be done with some so this is all about just revision about how to write a research proposals. So after that you have to give a presentations. We already discussed how to, what are the different steps for giving a presentations, what are not. So we do not discuss here. let's go to our topic, new topic, which is going to be discussed here. Yes. So, how to write a scientific paper? With revision, we are just having idea how to write a research proposal. Research proposal is the proposal that is a planning which can be write before doing the research. But the scientific paper, it is the something which is you have to write after clear cut research solutions or research result, after getting your research result. So how to write a scientific paper, that should be very much important point for here. The questions first ask yourself, that means is the paper is worth writing? That means if, because you are already done with your research and also you have written your thesis or written your research report. So now we are going to just customize our research report in terms of some paper publishing or paper scientific paper publishing of scientific paper. So is the paper is worth writing? That means paper that is in what in the literature, so what is the outcomes. So let's a lot of work, that means average of 20-30 drafts, do not do it unless it worth it. Means we are going to write, if you are having in your mind that I am going to write a scientific paper or write a paper for the journal, a particular journal. So what you have to done, you have should be keep in your mind that is the paper we are writing is very worth writing for this journal or paper, or otherwise we are just writing a paper not for a good purpose, or just someone said that a paper should be published, we have to write a paper, so we are just writing it. So that is the important thing. So what do I have to say? You have to clear cut that single questions clearly stated in academic evidence of your answer. That means this is similar to the title of the research paper. That research paper or title which can be clearly stating the what are the evidence, how this answer can be find out the answer, all the things. Try stating the questions and answer in one simple sentence. This is the problem statements, because besides the title, some particular research papers or journals, they have also given some criteria to make a pure research problem statement provide for the research paper. So what is your problem statement and how you have to find out the result, you have to clear cut write all these things. Eat one or more paper, that means for your research, because you already given 1 year, 2 year, or maybe 3 years for doing all the research, because your research paper is the outcomes of your research result. So if you are done with your research and in your hand is the research result, so you decide whether the research paper is uh, published in a single journal or single paper, or you have to divide the research paper in two different papers. For examples, if you are going to do research for finding some cause and solutions, both are same things, but do you are in your research proposals and in your research statement, the what is the cause of these research questions and what is the probable solutions of the research question. Two things are interrelated, but you have just get your result with handy. You also have also what are the causes and what are the solutions. So for that, whether you are going to deal all causes of your research questions in one paper and the solution of the research results that are in another paper, so you have to decide whether it is a complete paper or part type of paper. So putting too much paper, one paper also diffuse and less completing the focus. That means a research paper practically having not less than 10 pages. But your research thesis, mostly some of the research thesis is because you are writing in details everything. So it may be either 100 pages maybe 200 pages, but a research paper is coincides as minimum 10 pages. 10 to 15, 15 is very much, because 8 to 10 pages is sufficient. So for 200 pages of research thesis to coinciding up to 10 pages, it may be not possible for a single paper. So you have to divide according to your result. You have to divide your research total outcomes into different papers. So you have to decide that. So if you want to write a paper, next questions, what is the right format for messaging original article review? Yes, now we have decided that your research result is going to publish in XYZ journals. So next thing is how you are going to write the paper. So for every journal or every research papers, they each having its own format or its own types of sequence. How you have to given some reference, what are the format, that is the theme of the research paper. These are different for different articles or different journals. So according to your research questions or according to your result, you have to choose a particular journal. Let's say journal of environmental science or journal of environmental chemistry. So you have give the you have to read all the details or authors guidelines from these journals and make a draft format according to their format, so that can be easily published. So you have to make or choose the format where you have to submit the journal. Then you have to choose, you have to, what is the right audience. That means if you are publish the paper in XYZ journals, okay, you have to choose the journal, then you have to also write the paper in its journals format. Then your question is, after getting published, who are the audience, or who are the audience, or who are going to read your research paper. That is also important, because not just merely publish a research paper in any journals, that does not ends here. Because the paper who are going to be next, because you once published, this is going to be review of literature for your next generation researcher. So who are the audience, who is going to take further to your research, that is also important. So you have to take care these things also. But this is secondary thing. First thing is choose a journal and write the paper according to the journal. Then next is choose the audience or who is going to take forward to your for your research. That is also important thing. Then what journal should I choose? That means if you are working in water pollution criteria, and if you are writing or choosing a journal on environmental chemistry, that means it not be suitable. You should choose journals that publish environmental pollutions. Both are environment, but in chemistry part you have to insert different chemical aspect, but in we have to working in the pollution part, so you have to choose some journals who is related to the pollution. So you have to also choose this kind of paper. Which journals is the topic of my paper within its scope and format? Should it matches the audience? Ask mentors or other senior researchers to apprentice. If you are confused which journals you have to choose according to your result, then follow these things. Check the format whether it is according to your that format or not. Who are the readers of these journals? And if you are also confused, ask your supervisor or your seniors for these suggestions. Then next you have to also look out the impact factor. Wow, what is the impact factor? We already know, already discussed in our laboratory practical classes. What is impact factor? Then consequences of wrong decision. If you are choosing wrong journals, then what happened? Your time and money are going to be wasted, because some journals are taking long time to publish and hold your research paper before going to publish, and that also uh, loses your time and the failure to publish, because after submitting a journal in your paper in a journal, it takes up to minimum 3 to 6 months to publish. If you are choosing a wrong journal to and submit your research paper within the wrong journal, then what happens? After 6 months, the journal get rejected your paper, and again you have to submit another journal. So that 6 month time period that just wasted. Even if your and the research is very good, and because you choose a wrong paper, wrong journal to publish, it holds the time and which could be does not publish after a long time. So that time is lost. Then what happened? The Yes, the time lost and failure to publish. These are the consequences. So you have to carefully choose a journal where your research results should be published. So let's remember what is the impact factor. So how impact factor is calculated? Impact factor of the journal is calculated, that is how much number of article published in a particular time periods and how much article published in previous time period, that is the total citations and the published articles. This is the formula for impact factors. So let's say A equal to total cites in 2015. In 2015's total number of citations, that means your research papers in the journals, let's say some amounts of the citations are there, and B is the 2015 cites articles in 13-14. That means 2 years before. 2 years before, what are the number of citations? If you are published in 2015 and we were try to publish 15, so let's check 2 years before, that in 13 and 14, or the 13 14 citations years, how much citations are coming to the journal, that is the B, and C the number of article published in previous year 2013 and 14. So the impact factor of the current year is equal to the number of citations in previous year by the number of article published in the previous year. That is the impact of the impact factors of the journals. So weightage review articles having higher than scientifically better populate the priest. If you are so let's say there are in this 2024, if you are publishing some articles in Journal of Environmental Pollutions, let's say this is a paper, this is a journal. So if you are publishing in 2024, then check out what are the number of citations of total citations in previous, means 2023-24. If there are 2000 numbers of citations are there in 2023-24, then if you are publishing, total number of articles are, let's say, 200. So 2000 divided by 200 equal to 10. That is your 2000 impact factor. So impact factor is number of article cites in previous last 2 years by the total number of article published in previous last 2 years. This is the calculation format for your journal impact factor. So higher impact factor means higher number of citations, lower impact factor means lower number of citations. Higher number of citations means more number of researchers and more numbers readings and downloads are there. So having higher citations, if the journals is not read by so many people and your journal is not impactful, that means why? Because the researchers who are not going to read your journal, that means the impact factor is going to be fall down. So to find out a journal's impact factors, search the impact factor current years, that is 2 years, that is for now impact factor is 115. If you are searching for 2024, then see what are the number of citations in 22-23 and 23-24. A scientific article is critical argument, statement of problem, poisoning different questions. Presentation of evidence, assessment of validity of the evidence of the phases, strength, weakness, all other things, conclusions. So all the things should be coincide in your articles because it is scientific article. In your statement of problem, posing a questions because every research start with the questions. So while writing a scientific paper, your problem or statement should be clear. Presentation of evidence, that means if you are doing some calculation of result or making some collection of the data and analysis, so whatever may be the methods, mostly this is for scientific articles. For scientific articles we are going for observation methods, we are following observation method, that is for measurement of some with some instruments, that is nothing but the observation methods. And for that observation method you have to make sufficient amount of evidence or proof. If you are saying that today's temperature is 25 degree or 26 degree centigrade, so what is the proof that you measure the temperature of the 27th this August is 26 degree centigrade? Because after 5 days or 10 days you should write the problem paper. So at that time you have a sufficient proof that you have measured the temperature before 5 days. This is one example. If someone measuring some pollution levels, let's say of real oxygen, COD, BOD, and making a table, and after 1 month and 2 months, whenever you are going to write this paper, at that time you have make sufficient proof that you have actually measured the temperature or measure the calculations, do the calculations, and not going, should not do have any manipulations. ऐसे भी होता है, तो let's you have make a sufficient evidence of that. You have to take some photo or some videos or some geo referencing tag photo, all the things you have to make some proper evidence for your result or observation methods. So assessment of validity of the evidence in the face of strength, weakness, and other evidences. That means whenever your research paper is going to be published or they're going under a review processes. That means in that review processes, the judges or the scientists who are going to be review, they have they should convince that you have done with the proper evidence. So he or she may be asked for a evidence. So you have, if you do not have some evidence, then your paper simply get rejected. And lastly, conclusions. Conclusions is the most catchy parts of your outcomes of your research results in a shortcut method, that is your conclusion, because no one going to read details result and discussion sections. Somehow some result and discussion if you are written not very nicely for 3 and 4 pages, but a simple one paragraph also written in conclusion section, that everyone should go through that. So conclusion you have to also write very fascinating manner. Literature search, whatever done already discussed. Title of the pages, do it clearly, title, author and their order, sources or support. He also mentions, because not only the title, in title page, title you have to written the title. After that, the authors. Authors means who are the contributors of your research. In case of you, if you are solely done the research, you and your supervisor should be the authors. And if you are making or doing some collaboration with the other different organizations or different other researchers, then also put the name in the author's name. That is the authors very clearly mentions the authors, who are the authors, and their supports, how the authors are contributed the paper. This is very much important. If 2 and 3 are written a same articles on paper, so not everyone should be contribute everything, because someone did the experiment, someone make the data collections, and someone and do the written part of this all these sections, and your supervisor is the checking whether it is correct or not. So everywhere the role of author is also different for the different things. Then source and support. If you are getting funded because someone is going to funded you for your research, so you should acknowledge these funding sources very much. Someone giving money or helping in every way, any way, you have to just mention in acknowledgement section that I have given or this research is funded by this agency dash dash, and I have get supported from this laboratory, or if you are going to analysis the lab in a particular lab, they are going to help you. Then also you have to mention all the things. Establishment responsibility in paper writing. Avoid hard feelings. You should not write in a different sentence like someone getting hurt, because some papers they also are very criticize the literature gap or very criticize the previous finding. That should not be in your paper. So in the process of paper writing, create a outline, because whenever you are going to write, create a outline. Then plan on multiple drafts, file name with dates. Let's say today you have written some things, and make a folder with the title of the research title, with make a clear draft with the date name. If you are modified that in tomorrow or any date, just update it, and your file name written over a new draft. That means for clearly, because the paper we are writing is not written in a pen and paper, you are writing this in a laptop using Microsoft Word or any other type of softwares. So this should be very much clear, and updated version. Table and figures are early prompts and more analysis, because you have seen that every table and figures having its captions, the title of the table and table number, figure number. We already discussed what are the formats for table and figures, row headings, footnotes, head notes. So every details you have to write clearly. Deadlines for you and co-authors, because the paper you are submitting a paper in a journal, then what's happened? Make a clear deadline that we have to submit the paper within means clearly decided date. Let's say 30th of August we have to submit these things. So keeping on that mind, you are going to write the paper accordingly. Introduction sections, you have to draw audience to be provocated. So after the title page, next step is introduction sections of a paper. So introduction sections, you have to written in a catchy manner, that because after writing some abstract, after that you have to write the introductions. So introduction is nothing but the background information, as well as why we are going to do the research and what should be your probable outcomes. All these things are written in the introduction section. So most of the session, the audience who are going to read your paper, they should be expect some clear cut and good story manner. So you have to write the introduction section in linkage by linkage story wise manner, so in a fascinating manner that can provoke the reader to read more and more. Because whenever, if you are not interested to reading something, just discard these things. So if you are making your paper in such way that people are, or the audience can be interested for reading your paper. Target journal specific audience, I already discussed. If you are uh, writing the paper in pollutions, then you should not focus on chemistry. So according to your specific journal audience, which types of journals you are writing, so if your design or writing flow should be in that journal format. Identify gaps in knowledge, that is already done with your literature review and literature citations gap, literature gap. So clearly identify the literature gap or the knowledge which you are going to focus. End with questions, hypothesis. Introduction sections, the last paragraph of introduction section. In that paragraph, you have to just write what are the probable solutions and which are we are going to work with that. That is the hypothesis sections will be written the last part of this introduction sections. The next section is material or the method sections. In these sections, you should include subheadings like materials, where you are going to purchase the material, what are the purity of the material, all the things, and the methods, what methods you are going to use. Clearly write all the things in methodology sections. Write clearly enough to understood by nomenclature reader and the replicated methods, all the things. Past tense, use always past tense methods. That is also important thing. Then after materials and method section, next is the result and discussion sections. In result discussion sections, you should write all tables, figures in this result and discussion section. Organizing our table and figures. Whatever the table and figures you are put in this result sections. Then present tabular results in selectively text. If you are making a table, for example, here temperature versus the centigrade in different degree, different dates. So at that, whatever you are written in the table or in your figures, you just elaborate these things in a text form, in a paragraph form. Just discuss all the things in the paragraph form. That increase your analysis content of your result and table, that your results. That is also very, you have to write. Also use your past tense, because the in the time of the writing of the paper, you already did your result, already done with your research. So you have to always use past tense. No interpretations, just the facts. Whatever may be the facts, you have to just write those things. No interpretations. You should not be interpret. Like for example, it may be or it probable might be happen. You should not be like written this sentence. Just facts. It is the level of the temperature. For example, the temperature of the particular date is so much high because of the weather is sunny. This is a fact. You should not write in this way that the temperature is so high because maybe due to the different things, or maybe wind is not blowing, or maybe the anything, that you should not have any proof. If you have not have any proof, then you should not be interpret. Just fact, write about the fact, whatever you have. Tables should stand in their own. If someone is clearly see the table, it clear should be understandable. The table should be understandable. So everything, the every subsections of tables and figures must be clear. After the result section, the discussion section, you have to write first paragraph, answer question to the hypothesis, because the last paragraph of introduction section is the hypothesis section. And after writing the result in discussion section, you have to write a paragraph about what is your assumptions, what is your hypothesis, and what are your result is asking or telling or not. Whether it is hypothesis is get true or hypothesis is get false, whether your assumptions is matched with your result or not. You have to make a discussion in your first paragraph. Then evidence, pro and cons, what is the advantages, disadvantages, literature review, strength and limitations if your studies. Obviously, all the things you have to write. Implication of findings, if something say, some having your results, what are the difficulties to find out the result, all the things you have to just elaborate. Other findings of your study, what are the, apart from your result, what should the other findings, other, that is the extraneous variable, because we are direct indirect variable working on that, but some extraneous variable that may be affected your result but may not be part of your study, that should be also written right in this section. Last paragraph, you have to write conclusions, obviously short form of the all details of your research paper in a one paragraph form, that is write a conclusion. So getting the tense, past and present. When quoting previously published work, refer it in a present tense. See, this is very much important. When quoting previously published work, if some things are quoted from the review of literature previously works, write in present tense. And when describe your own study, if your result whenever you discussed, then write it in past tense. Here penicillin treats strep throats. This is a written documents which can be referred from different authors. So this you have to write in present tense. But your work, whatever your result, we tested a new antibiotic for the strep throat. Here it is right in your past tense. So literature review, when you are referring something, be focused on present tense, and when you are discussing your result, write in past tense. So the good scientific paper is a focus on scientific questions or not. It is the main questions. Covers a broad spectrum of disease methodology questions. Less is more. That means whenever you are going to focus your research result, then what is the main thing? Abstract and tables and figures are understandable without reading whole paper. Yes, obviously. Abstract table and figures are understandable only the reading the whole paper, because someone is going to read your paper, then first they have read the title, then go for abstract only without going other result. Then next is writing a passive voice. Example, it was found that, or writing a active voice. Which sentence you have to use? Obviously, your own result you have to use writing in active voice or in past tense. We found that like it was. So use always active voice. Then next, a term defined in the paper in the method section is used again and again. A term that should not be used in a section again and again. Various synonyms for the term should be used, and define your term in confidently other. What is the answer? A term defined in the methods is used again and again. That means if you are using some particular things in a paper and define the things, for example, if you are measuring diesel oxygen and abbreviate the diesel oxygen, first is a DO and bracket diesel oxygen. So in next sentence, you should not be write again and again diesel oxygen. You can also write DO, it may be understandable. So this is the shortcut things. Writing in a flowery way, writing in a concise way, generally the shorter is the better. Which way you have to write? So always write, because you are writing a research paper, not a research report or thesis. Mind it, if you are writing a reports or thesis, it should be in a details way, and what in a clear details, and more papers, number of pages should be. But whenever you are writing a paper, it should be concise and very short, because it is limited to 8 to 10 pages. Are terms used consistently throughout? No, do numbers and abstract matches the tables, all the things these are to mind. Brief synopsis of writing abstract. It is a mini paper, because abstract is some paragraphs before the actually your results or anything research. So 1-2 sentence takes from introductions, and some parts take from results, methods, and discussions obviously, and write this abstract. So likewise, paper requires many drafts oriented presenting argument concisely. Because you are writing a paper, it is not a 1 day things or 2 day things. You have to sit in a write a paper. You have to write a paper and just sit 1 day or 2 day. You should not be there. It is so many long term, again and again you have to revise a draft. After that you have to setting the paper according to the journals, all the things you have to making. The reviewer is always right whether they are not. Do not respond quickly, digest reviews, because whenever you submit a paper, you have get got comments. Whatever the comments the reviewer asks, that is always right. You are going a positive way by taking some of the comments. If the comments is, you should not defend the comment. That is the important thing. If a paper was rejected, if you submit and the paper get rejected, then what? You should not get demoralized. If one journal it is rejected, then submit to the another journal. It was sent out a review, but changing the type of journal. If you if you are submitting one journal, it get rejected, then again rewrite in a different format of another journal, again submit it. So last at least 3 journals. You have to submit at least 3 journals of different modules or different perspectives, different areas where you can get. If all 3 journals are get rejected, then you have to reconsider the paper, rewrite again. Before 3 journals, do not be worried. After 3 rejections, you have to just modify your paper.